This is an article about Scientology working conditions and how they treat their employees. So the article starts out talking about a woman who noticed how her daughter changed as she started working for the church. Suddenly, she was a totally different person, shooting fire from her eyes. They're very mad people. Like, it's very hard. They have no chill. I don't know how else to say it. They're hard to be around. Always on. Yeah. Um, there were those hateful looks and the dozens of letters that Patty Jo returned unopened. For 2 years, she would not even speak to her mother, who had criticized Scientology and refused to hand over $2,000 for church courses. So if you don't give them money, you are the enemy. This is how it works. There's no in between. She started calling L. Ron Hubbard her father, so that's pretty weird. A lot of prayer. Um, Finally, 15 years later, she left Scientology, disillusioned with the church and disappointed with herself for succumbing to an environment that she said twisted her thinking and isolated her from a world that she had hoped to make better. So this is what they do: is they give you a dream that you're going to make the world a better place. You just have to listen to us, essentially. Scientology, she said, promises you euphoria, but ends up taking your body, heart, mind, soul, and family. We were so brainwashed to believe that what we were doing was good for mankind that we were willing to put up with the worst conditions. Over the years, defecting Scientologists have come forward with similar accounts of how their lives and personalities were upended after they joined the church's huge staff. They say that the organization promised spiritual liberation but delivered subjugation. Interviews and public records, former staffers have said that they were alienated from society, stripped of familiar beliefs, punished for aberrant behavior, rewarded for conformity, and worked beyond exhaustion to meet ever escalating productivity quotas. And I've seen this firsthand. This is all 100% accurate. Slave labor is how the Canadian authorities described Scientology workforces. Worldwide, there's 12,000 members. Not that interesting. Then, so Scientology workers work absolutely ludicrous hours. They're somewhat ill-defined. So day and night, they labor single-mindedly at jobs ranging from meaningful to menial. So some work in administrative areas such as promotion, legal affairs, finance, public relations, and fundraising. So like they have lawyers, accountants, things like that, but they work for the church on church salaries, which is like 50 US dollars a week. And then they work crazy hours. So thousands of others deliver the church's religious programs, and others like advertise. They sell books on the sidewalk, and some people just watch it. Think things, anything the church needs done, they'll hire people and convince them that they're helping save humanity. Scientology spokesman insists that the staff is treated well and not exploited. They say that the detractors simply lack the devotion to advance the religion's aims and the morality to abide by high ethical standards. So anyone who speaks out is just lazy, essentially. Current staff members say their lifestyle is no more unusual or harsh than that of a monk. So that's quite a statement. Joining the Scientology staff, they say, was a supreme expression of their devotion to create, in Hubbard's words, a civilization without insanity, without criminals, and without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights. So they do this all under the guise of morality. So the elite of Scientology workers, at least 3,000 of them, belong to what's known as the Sea organization. So they're given room, board, and a small weekly allowance of about 50 US dollars a week. Sign contracts to serve Scientology in this and future lifetimes for 1 billion years. It's on their contract, they sign it. Um, they dress in mock Navy uniforms, adorned with ribbons. They bark orders with a clipped military cadence. And my dad has done this, so I lived with him, so that was exciting. They hold ranks such as captain, lieutenant, and ensign. I don't know what that is. Officers, including women, are addressed as sir. Hubbard called himself the Commodore, and keep in mind he came up with these names himself. Um, a reflection of his infatuation with the U.S. Navy. The Sea Org is a very tough outfit. It's no walk in the park. We are short tempered, but we do our job. So it's basically an excuse to just yell at people. Um, Scientology staffers enter a clannish world of authoritarian rules and discipline based on Hubbard's writings. His works govern every detail of the operation, from how to disseminate his teachings to how to cook baby food. And I've also seen they have books on that. When staffers observe transgressions of Hubbard's dictums, they're required to inform on each other. So your snitching culture is required. It's very encouraged. The church says knowledge reports help the organizations correct problems and ensure a high standard of operation. Critics contend that the practice works to stifle expressions of discontent or doubts about the church, even between husbands and wives. This is very true. Um, if you break the rules or if you fall below work quotas, which in Scientology, if you are staying the same, that's bad. You have to be on what they call an uptrend, your stats, as they call it. And if you stay the same, then that's basically the same as going down on a downtrend. So you have to constantly be getting better, no matter what. So if you don't do that, then you get sent to RPF, which I made a video on this, but it is essentially a labor camp. You do groundswork for a few weeks. Others have people have called it the most degrading ordeal of their lives. Although at the time they believed it was leading them to spiritual salvation. RPFers, as they're called, are separated from their family and friends for days, weeks, months, or even longer. They cannot speak unless spoken to. They run everywhere they go, and they wear armbands to denote their lowly condition. So the RPF provides the church with a pool of labor to perform building maintenance, pull weeds, anything they need done that they don't feel like paying for. This is what the RPF serves to accomplish. Former Sea Organization member Hana something said that she once saw the RPF work crew eating like unkempt convicts, digging their hands into a large communal pot of food because there was no cutlery plates. Um, the Bill Franks, the church's former international executive director, and the executives are like the high-ranking positions for them, said that he once lived in a crowded garage for 7 months while assigned to the RPF. We were indoctrinated on a continuous daily basis that we were suppressive people, that we were antisocial people, that we were criminals. So they think basically anyone who doesn't join the church is a criminal, is their logic. Um, the church says that the RPF was established so that errant Sea Organization members would have a place to both work and study Hubbard's writings without distractions or substantive duties. However, Hubbard's former public relations officer testified in a Scientology lawsuit that Hubbard told her that the RPF was created because he wanted certain people segregated, whom he believed were against him and against his instructions and against Scientology. So it's a uh, uh, deterrent labor camp. Scientology believes that a staff member is evaluated based on his or her productivity. Hubbard made it clear in a 1964 directive that there is no excuse short of death for missing work. So it doesn't matter. If a staff member's breath can be detected on a mirror, he or she can do his job. Measuring weekly productivity eliminates personality considerations from staff evaluations. Critics, however, say this system is dehumanizing. Um, Staffers become so consumed by their parents see their uh, Children see their parents for 1 hour a day at dinner and perhaps late in the evening. Um, in 1984, a British justice cited the case of a staff member who left her job to seek medical help for a daughter who had broken her arm. She was directed to work all night as a penalty. Um, we recount another a case of another woman who refused to take a church job that would have separated her from her daughter for 2 months. She was shouted at and abused because she put the care of her child first. So if you don't listen to them, they'll just start yelling at you, and they'll attack your greatest insecurities. So staff members continually told that there is no safe refuge for them outside the group because society is a breeding ground for criminals, the insane, and people too ignorant to see that Scientology is the answer to mankind's problems. So it's essentially grooming. You know, they lie aggressively to keep you within their confines. In the church, non Scientologists are derisively called WOGs, defined by basically anyone who's not part of the church. Um, um, you're cut off from anything that might give you another viewpoint. Former Sea Organization member Janie Peterson said that she was so indoctrinated into Scientology that she felt she would die if she left. So this is what they do. Other former members said they felt trapped by the church's freeloader debt policy. So this is something I wanted to mention. Um, Freeloaders bill is a policy that they have instituted by L. Ron Hubbard that you would be retroactively billed for any auditing received while in the Sea Org. Because if you work for the church, they pay for your training. But some of these courses can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So so this made people feel trapped in the Sea Org because if they left, they would be billed tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Which this is not actually legally binding in any way, but they verify with the e-meter that you believe that this is true. So it's brainwashing. Scientologists believe that uh, uh, after all, and if you try to leave, now you have no job skills, no experience on your resume, and you believe that you would be hit with thousands of dollars of freeloader debt. So, Whitfield said that she, like others, defected after reaching the conclusion that the church seemed only interested in controlling its members. I've looked back and said to myself, what an indoctrinated fool I was. What a fool. So I just wanted to give some insight as to how they treat their workers and what working conditions are like within the church.